I began. I began in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. This video is going to be doing a review of The Walking Dead, Season 4, Episode 14, The Grove. If you have not seen this episode yet, I will give you 10 seconds to leave. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh! Lizzie and Micah were offed! Okay. This was a very emotional episode. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Okay, you have probably, either you have watched this, you're here, you've seen the episode, or you probably don't care about spoilers. If you're not in either of those two categories, I'm sure you're gone. Let's start at the beginning. We begin with an episode. We begin at a house where and the camera moves slower to a window, and we see a child playing with someone. That was probably Lizzie. So we cut to the opening credits, and then we return back. We see Carol just having a little chit chat with Lizzie about about the events in Too Far Gone when she saved Tyreese, and it seems like she didn't mean to shoot Alicia in the head for some reason, and it just feels like Lizzie's been showing some weird tendencies. And then we move on from there. We have and then Carol and Lizzie Carol and Micah, Lizzie's sister, decide to go out somewhere, and then go out somewhere and look for some stuff. And then as they're doing, they're playing some sort of game version of I Spy. And then when Tyreese spots a walker, the walker falls. And then soon it's only a matter of time before her and before the group finds the small pack finds a house near in a grove. So that's good stuff. They find that there. They go into the Tyreese and in the meantime, also Carol and Carol and Micah were having a little chit chat about about defending yourself and self-defense and stuff like that, and that she would feel very sorry about the persons who were trying to invade their home back in the mid-season finale. So also, and then afterwards they go into the house, and then Carol tells both Lizzie and Micah to stay outside. And as they're outside, Micah and Lizzie's just telling them that walkers are alive, and they're people, and no, they're dead. And so all of a sudden, a walker comes out of nowhere, and then then Micah dispatches of it quickly. So, and then afterwards they go inside. They get settled. They find out Lizzie finds a doll. Micah finds a doll, and and she's just loving it. So, and then moving right along, a little bit later, Carol is teaching Lizzie Micah how to hunt, and then it's just they spot a deer, and then Micah can't bring herself to pull the trigger on the deer. It's like she can't even take the life of an animal. So, and then afterwards, Carol they go outside, and Carol is outside working on stuff and then she sees Lizzie playing tag with a walker, and then it's only a matter of time. She has to go out there. She has to stab him in the head, and all the while, Lizzie is screaming, and then she gives this tantrum saying that she's alive, and then Carol saying she's going to tear them. She was trying to kill them. So it's like Lizzie is very, very out of her, twisted and warped into, has a deluded mind. So she's been displaying that ever since the season premiere. So it's like it's insane. So, and Tyreese is walking all this out, this is out of mind. And so Lizzie, Carol and Tyreese are out working on stuff, and then all of a sudden, and then Lizzie gets the bright idea to take this box, and Micah goes after her, and then she decides to take out this little rat and feed it to the walker, and it's like, wow, so that's one mystery out of the way. We know who's been feeding the walkers at the prison. So, and then all of a sudden, walkers come out of nowhere, and they have to run. And then from there on, Micah, Lizzie, Carol, Tyreese, all of them unload rounds on them. It was a very good action scene. So, moving on. Tyreese and Carol go out looking for stuff, looking for food, just out for a walk, and then Tyreese is like, he's just having dreams about Karen, and then she has to remind himself that Karen's not alive, and it's like, oh, by the way, Tyreese was talking in his sleep earlier in the episode, and it's like, talking in your sleep while others are in your presence is very awkward. So, anyways, it's like Tyreese is just talking about how much he misses Karen and how he can't be around people, and it's like Tyreese is talking about that, and Carol's just feeling guilty. It's like, I was thinking Tyreese does not yet know that Carol killed Karen at this moment, and then they go back, and then all of a sudden, and this is a spoiler here, they see that Lizzie has killed Micah in the hopes that show that she will turn it, and she's like them. It's like, whoa, and she was about to do it to Judith as well. So, and that just said that she pulls out their gun, asking not to give them Karen, asking not to give them, not to take away Micah to prove her point. So she has to get them to the. And then Tyreese has to take in both Judith and Lizzie, and soon we see them both together. They say, and they're like, and Tyreese is like, both of them agree that that Lizzie needs to be put down, and then they're like, we need to. Tyreese figures, since Lizzie put down what's been feeding Walker, she must have killed Karen and David. And then killed Karen and David. So Carol's like, no, it wasn't her, because if it was, she would have waited for them to reanimate. And so Tyreese also probably wonders, how could she have gotten them all the way over into the courtyard? So, anyways, Carol knows what she has to do. She leads Lizzie out into the field, near a group full of flowers. She tells her to just look at the flowers. She's just welled up with all emotion. She just feels like she can't even do this, doesn't want to do this, but she has to. And then she pulls the trigger, and then bang, Lizzie is gone. Very emotional. So, moving right along to the end of the episode, Carol admits to Tyreese that she killed Karen and probably even David, and then Tyreese has this look on her face of like a little bit mix of anger and suspicion, and she says she did it to keep the virus from spreading, which didn't work, by the way. And then Tyreese is like, I forgive, but I don't forget. So, and then moving right along, they decide to pack up their belongings, get Judith, and they leave the grove to head to Terminus. And on their way, we are seeing some flashbacks of voiceovers of Carol's little chit chats with their little. And then we have some little flashbacks as to Carol's little chit talks with them over as they were in her weapons class, and their talks from like the episode Infection or things like that. So it's like, yeah, this was like Lizzie and Micah were like replacements for Sophia, and it must have hurt that Lizzie killed Micah and she had to kill Lizzie. So Yes. Also, this is like a remix of what happened in the comic book where Ben and Billy, they're two brothers that a guy named Alan proposes, gives to Andrea to take care of. Andrea was still alive at the comic book at that time, and then Ben decides to kill Billy for basically the same reason that Lizzie decided to kill Micah, so that that way she would turn. And then they have the whole group, Rick, Glenn, and the others. They decide what they're going to do with them. And Abraham Ford, who's with Rick at the time, says they need to kill him, and Andrea's against that. And Abraham also says that if this was the pre-ZA time, he would have been put in a mental health institute. And then nobody has the heart to do it. And then Carl, Rick's son, decides to get a gun and just kills Ben himself. So basically, this is basically a remixed version of that story from the comic book. And it was much more well done because we got some more development from them. We got actual signs that the story between that Lizzie was going to do this. Unlike with Ben trying to kill Billy, there was no leading up to that point. Whereas with Lizzie and Micah, there was leading up to that point. So all in all, I have to give this episode a 9.2, 9.3, or 9.4 out of 10. It was an amazing episode. Lots of emotion, and we got some great action. Good stuff.